What up, perps? Kid Copious. Back in effect. Purple State Party. You know what we're doing here, man. We're repping America, the center, common sense, and freedom. So let's get this sucker popping. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm recovering from a little bit of a cataract surgery. My vision's better than it's ever been. So, take care of your eyes, folks. Now, while I was laying there recovering, I watched an old film from the 1960s, Fahrenheit 451. You know that one, about the firemen who burn books. And let me tell you, the movie demonstrated not so much the burning of the books. It's the fact that these people lived in a drugged out society where they lived vicariously through their screen. Everybody wanted a big screen. It was kind of innovative in the film. I think they got a lot of the future tech wrong. They were using like old-timey phones and shit like that. But there was a scene where the wife thought that she was part of the show. She was going to get her big break as an actress. And the people on the screen would ask a question of somebody who was going to be a party guest. And they would say a name, and then that person would answer. And she actually thought it was about her. I thought that's so much how people are living their lives right now, vicariously through social media. Prescription drug use, I mean, come on. We don't even have to talk about that. And too many people now are just living their lives as those robots from Fahrenheit 451. They believe what's on the screen. They don't think for themselves. The government can tell them everything's okay, and that's what they want to believe, so that's what they believe. And that is the world that we live in right now. We lived in that doped up dystopian future. And I don't think any of us really wanted that. And, some of us, are getting older, and we're not going to have to put up with it for very long. But some people are going to be here for another 70, 80 years. That's going to suck unless they start to, break down break down these things that are happening in society and learn to deal with them better. But enough about that. Let's get on with the fun. All right. CNN buys extra large excavator to help bury Durham report. I think the and what I'm doing here, Durham report. There we go. Totally out of context. Yeah, I know it's not a big deal. I know it kind of already tells a story that we've already heard. We already knew the Russian collusion thing was more or less, a fraud. Media admits they lied about Russian collusion thing, but are totally telling the truth about everything else. Babylon B doing it again. Yeah, but they're, if you keep spreading lies, how are people going to believe you? And I find that in a world where my thoughts and opinions and random musings got a video of mine taken down, the people who are in charge of being that upper echelon, of media, journalism, all that, they went along with it. They went along with the Russian collusion. They went along with burying the Hunter Biden laptop. And then we're not supposed to say diddly squat about what we think might be a conspiracy. No, they can spin their lies, but we can't speak out against it. Trump was framed by the FBI based on a phony dossier paid for by Hillary, and Obama knew all about it. And all the media groups have their ears plugged because they don't want to talk about it. That's now who they are. All those people that are in this Bronco cartoon. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, PBS, WAPO, New York Times, LA Times. They just went along with their side. We don't need news agencies that pick sides. They're supposed to be impartial. They're supposed to be informative, not propaganda. Now, maybe you think, hey, let's not talk about the Durham report. I'm glad these people are covering it up. That's fine for today, but what about tomorrow? Tomorrow they may do it to you. And speaking of people who get away with lies, Shift here, he's trying to basically back up his claims that he made, like here's a quote, direct quote from him. I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial. But as I've said all along, there's plenty of evidence of collusion. He said that in 2017, and there is none. It was flawed from the beginning. Schiff, of course, went on to say that the Durham probe only began because Trump badgered Bill Barr to investigate it. Investigate the investigators. Well, shouldn't we fucking do that? He's saying the investigation was flawed. So he's basically saying that he doesn't believe that the FBI, Durham here, looked into it properly. So in other words, he's saying there is evidence of Trump's collusion with Russia. He's continuing the lie in the face of evidence. 4 years of wasted effort, he says. Right. He said it. The Russians intervened heavily to elect Donald Trump, right there. And then he goes in to say that there's this big conspiracy to prove that that didn't happen. Really? But we're not allowed to talk about any of the things that worry us, right? And we're supposed to believe Schiff over the FBI. But like Durham said, there was no actual evidence. They did not and could not corroborate any substantive allegations. He said that the FBI in the initial assessment used raw, unanalyzed, and uncorroborated intelligence. See? A law professor comes out and says, well, then where is your evidence? If you said you had evidence, Adam, if you said that there was more than just circumstantial, what was it? Do you have it? There, that's the guy's name, Jonathan Turley. See, this would be a good time, as Turley says, for Schiff to come out and say, no, here's the evidence. Here it is, it's right here. You say there was none, here it is. But he can't because it didn't happen. But he's allowed to go on. He's going to get reelected. He may even move up. He may even take Feinstein's spot. That side is, okay. Let's not get on a tangent. I only bring up this reparations right here because, of an article, a bit that was in the article, where Harris here, one of the heads of this reparations type, whatever, said that black people did not improve. The life for black people did not improve with the abolition of slavery. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. People who can say that. Yes, they have it tough. Yes, things were not easy after slavery was abolished, but they were no longer slaves. So you can't, if you are going to take a radical stand that says that life for black people did not improve with the end of slavery, how are you supposed to be taken seriously? Yes, black boys and teenagers are still told to watch out for law enforcement. Black businesses struggle to get loans. They're unable to accumulate. A lot of them live in poorer areas to begin with. Do we fix the poor areas? No. Democrats in their cities pass laws, defund police, do shit like that, and then pretend that they're somehow helping. You have to fix the neighborhoods. Then all those things will change. You have to stop painting a group of people as a victim so that they continue to live in victimhood with that fucking mentality that, oh, there's no fucking chance for me because look, some fucking white person said it. I've known lots of middle class and upper middle class and wealthy black people in my life. it's not the color of their skin, it's the attitude in their mind. And Democrats and even their own people continue to keep them in that mental mindset of a victim. This one was great. Unions waking up to the existential threat of Biden's radical climate change agenda. The United Auto Workers recently announced it would withhold its endorsement of Biden. There you go. As the president of the UAW said, the EV transition is at serious risk of becoming a race to the bottom for working Americans. Yeah. What a shock that a union that makes automobiles would have second thoughts about endorsing the re-election of a president who just a few weeks ago announced new regulations that are intended to end production of all gas cars within a decade. That's a death sentence. Yes, some of them will transition to electric, but a lot of what's going to go into an electric car is going to come from overseas. China already has a lockdown. And that's one of the things that we should really be worried about. You know, you have money coming from Chinese businesses going to Biden, and all of a sudden Biden and his group are pushing EV, which is already locked down by the Chinese. The Chinese had the foresight. Either that or they bought all the mines and then forced their minions to make the transition. China, who's not doing a hell of a lot to help the climate, positioned itself to be at the forefront. That's how China takes over the world, through technology. We have the ability to be a self-sufficient country. We should be a self-sufficient country. But back on track. After acknowledging the threat that Biden poses to the livelihoods of tens of thousands of union members, the president warned that another Trump presidency would be a disaster. And that he muttered some mumbo-jumbo about pro-worker, pro-climate agenda. I don't think that's going to work. Unions did well under Trump. So, again, this is where you see it on display, the blind allegiance. You don't want to endorse Biden because he's going to destroy jobs and take money out of your pocket. But you can't back Trump because you want to continue to be in the pocket and hold the power of the Democrats. And that's what they are. They're either in the pocket or controlling the strings. Whatever. Meanwhile, California has proposed new rules to end production of nearly 2 million diesel trucks. Yeah. Just wait, robot trucks are coming. Robo-truck. It's not complicated. The leftist religious pursuit of zero emissions leads to a green holy land with no smokestacks, no power plants, no cars, no trucks, not a single luxury, no steel mills, copper mines, pipelines, gas stoves, ACs, airplanes, nuclear plants, washers, dryers, pesticides, plastics, cows, or other livestock. That's the fantasy world, okay? That is the green movement that has taken the Democrats hostage. And that explains why Biden is all in, embracing the far left green policies. And with all that hitting the fan, the media just sits and shields them. Look at the things that they have shielded them from. It's very hard to argue that these things aren't true. What didn't they shield? Hunter laptop, the energy crisis, the border crisis, the Durham report, the Afghan pullout, the corruption that may or may not be going on, the green agenda scam, whistleblowers with the taxes, inflation, and the FBI cover-ups, such as the Hunter Biden laptop. Mainstream media is covering for Biden. Maybe you voted for Biden. But do you want to live in a world where you simply vote for somebody because they have the right letter and you have to ignore all the lies? You have to ignore the damage? You have to look the other way as nearly 6 million people have entered the country under him illegally across the borders. Fentanyl spiking through, prices spiking. Notice how everything's going up except morale. I mentioned this last week, but a reporter calls San Francisco worse than a third world. A reporter based in San Francisco, says that the city he loves is now a den of homelessness, mentally ill, and fentanyl. The editorial board of the local paper said San Francisco could be going into a doom loop. If you don't have money coming into the coffers, you can't afford to keep things open. Shit declines. Decline brings decline. I know that sounds stupid, but that's just a true statement. As things start to erode and the structure weakens, it doesn't make it stronger. It makes it weaker. You see empty offices. See, right here. You see empty offices and you see tents. Adding to this mix is fentanyl. Fentanyl starts in China, goes to Mexico, is processed, and is shipped across the border and across the planet. We know where it starts. We know its port of departures and all that shit. We know what we could do about fentanyl. We could literally drone strike the buildings and facilities and put dents into the fentanyl supply. We could. We could outlaw it on a world stage, the ingredients. Forget it. Just get rid of it. No? Okay. It's like twice a week now. Poop problem. You know, I had to cover this, man. I mean, literally. There is a Westfield Mall, and there is an elevator, and somebody is pooping like twice a week in it. And different people. I mean, imagine you go to the mall, okay, and the door opens and there's poop on the elevator floor. Or there's even worse, a dude just defecating, some bum just fucking dropping a big old grunt right on the floor. He looks up at you, hi there. Is that what you want? No, you're not going to go there. That's the problem with this whole lawless nature of these blue fucking cities. And look, I'm not looking for examples to point out, oh, look, the Democrats are bad. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. And it's happening there. Look, man, when banning abortion leads to people dying, I'll speak out against it. When city policies about sanctuary and all this bullshit leads to poop on elevators, I'm going to talk about that. And to be honest with you, poop in an elevator, you know, that's kind of funny. San Francisco announces plans to release monkeys on the streets to fling away all the poo. Come on. I mean, they have an app to track these things. I mean, come on. It's just insanity. It's a broken plan, dude. And voters are starting to see it. Blue state survey shows majority want to recriminalize drugs. We made an enormous mistake. And this is in Oregon. Well, yes, of course. When you legalize drugs, you're going to increase your overdoses. You're going to increase the problems that it creates. It's a no fucking brainer. But too many people think that A, all drugs are like weed, because nobody is on the streets pooping in elevators because they're smoking weed. Well, okay. I guess if you were high, you would poop in an elevator. But I think you see my point. You ain't living in a tent because you got a weed habit. But hardcore drugs just don't work that way, man. They surveyed 500 Oregonians and found that 63% support reinstating criminal punishments for drug possession while continuing to fund treatment programs. Boom, there you have it. See, it's a numbers game. Portugal has one population. The United States has another population. It increases. The more people you have, the more, I guess, bad seeds you're going to have. And that's the problem. There are a lot of people here who aren't going to take advantage of these programs, who don't really want to change. Change is hard, man. I've been down that road several times, all right? I know. I speak from experience. I know what addiction is like. I have lived it, okay? I have slept in the dirt under bridges. I know. When I had a chance to get out, I got the fuck out. All right? I know it ain't easy. But the way to do it is arrest them and give them treatment as an option to jail. That's what you have to do. That is the only way to make people face it. You have to put them at rock bottom. Living on the streets ain't fucking rock bottom, folks. Living on the streets is freedom. You don't have to care about shit, man. You don't have, when you are doing fentanyl on the streets, living in a fucking tent, you don't care who the mayor is. You don't care who the fucking president is. You don't give a shit about none of that, man. Because you're just looking to get high and find your next supply. That's it. It's simple. You have to punish it. And lo and behold, crime drops in Tacoma after city adds more officers to defunded force. Absolutely makes a difference. Homicides down 35%. Cool. All right. Look at that number. Burglary down 52%. Half the burglaries. 1/5 violent crime. 1/4 property crimes. Just by adding cops. And they didn't even add that many, folks. Now, I don't want them to be racist, homophobic, asshole cops. I want cops that are paid a good amount so that they don't feel bitter about their job. I want cops out there making the streets safer. The bottom line is when you see more cops, you see less crime. There is a correlation. Prosecuting crime makes a huge difference. Consequences make a difference. But, you know, here in California, we have a budget deficit of $32 billion. Consequences. And what are we doing? Yeah, you guessed it. We're going to give unemployment insurance to illegal immigrants. They're going to talk about unjust exclusions from the safety net. Unjust, they're not citizens. Okay? If they are here on visas, that's a big difference. Okay? That I agree with. But if they're just here illegally, they're here illegally. They took that chance. One person says, who's against it, we take, or for it, I guess, we cannot take people's money, take people's taxes, take people's labors, and then deny them the very benefits and rights they deserve. What do you mean, rights? They're non-American citizens. The rules should not apply. They don't deserve to be here. If you can't do it right, you don't deserve to be here. Not a lot of money, $300 a week, yeah. But it's going to cost $356 million. And they say that payroll taxes on illegal immigrants contribute $485 million a year. That's according to that coalition. I find that number kind of hard to believe. I don't see how that's actually true because most of them are paid under the table. So I'm not exactly sure how that works. I find it kind of hard to believe that you would report, payroll taxes on people you're paying under the table, but whatever. Let's get into something fun, though. Sam Britton just got picked up. You remember him. He was the guy in charge of getting rid of nuclear waste. He was the poster child for diversity hire. This guy. He was arrested in Maryland the other night. Fugitive justice warrant. This is for, I think this is his third case, where somebody spotted him, a designer spotted him wearing some designer gear or something, and called the police. I don't have the details in front of me, but this guy. Well, it's just a shit show. It is a shit show over at the Biden administration. But, and my problem with Britton is not his lifestyle. I could care less about that. The fact is that he was hired because he was that person, not because he was qualified. He had the minimum qualifications at best. But it was a checkbox hire that backfired. So I fucking love it. I don't like checkbox hires, okay? I want qualified people. Is that too much to ask? Qualified people running the fucking show? Wouldn't that be great? Just qualified? And again, here you go. Pete Buttigieg takes parental leave again after adopting a highway. He was a mayor of a mid-sized town. But he checked a box. Fine. But not qualified to run the Department of Transportation. Maybe that's a figurehead job. Maybe that's the argument for it. But again, it's another kind of wackadoodle piece put out on the chessboard of government right now. You know, you had Jen Psaki, who was, I don't know what box she checked, but Jesus, she was incompetent. They replaced her with an even more incompetent person who checked more boxes. And of course, the queen of check boxes, Kamala Harris, here she is receiving an honorary degree from Clown College. You know, I should say, I do kind of like her because, I mean, it does appear that she's fucking stoned all the time. So that's kind of cool. I'm glad she, hits the spliff. But again, not really qualified. She was a black female who nobody liked. She couldn't even get enough votes to win California in a primary. And that's where she worked, was California. Nobody likes her. She's fucking incompetent, but she checks boxes. Checking boxes, man. It's akin to nepotism. Nepotism ruins businesses, especially when you start at the employee level. You have, it's almost like its own little mini union, and it's the same thing with these checkboxers. They're like a mini little union, and they can sort of run things. But just a shit show, a clown show over there. It ain't funny, man. Can't we just get people who are competent? No. I've heard there's some sort of unity party out there, or the label, something like that. It's kind of purple state, but this one, Elon Musk, Soros reminds me of Magneto. I'd like to apologize for the post. It was really unfair to Magneto. Elon, the greatest thing you can do for this country is to form Purple State Party. Maybe not me. I would love to be there. Man, I would fucking love it. I'd love to work with you, dude. But you're never going to see this video, first of all. But we need somebody like an Elon Musk to come in and really form a center party. All right? We need to get rid of the extremism on the right and just the absolute fucking cockamamie BS coming out of the left. The left and the media that are protecting them and that are shielding them, they need to be dismantled. And it's going to take Elon Musk, just like the other side is running roughshod in the DAs because of Soros' money. We need to run roughshod in government with Elon's money because he's the only person fucking crazy enough to pull it off. Yeah. Well, that's that. I sure would like some likes and some subscribes and some notifies, working on starting a podcast. Maybe that's the route to go. I don't know. But I believe in America. And I believe in equality for all. But there ain't equal treatment out there right now, folks. When you've got the media acting as the propaganda wing of a political party. And I certainly don't feel like I have any real support on the other side either. As they're banning abortion. As they're going after trans people. With some absurd shit. Some stuff that needs to be done. But some absurd shit. And that button down conservatism that can sit there and drink a beer and talk about stoners being the devil's agents. We don't need that shit, man. We need Purple State Party. That's what we need. Well, I appreciate y'all. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State Party. And so are you. Be good to one another, man. And always keep the boogie flowing strong.